raw ingredients.
It looks like raw
It's
ingredients.
like chicken and stuff.
Yes,
Just like,
it does look like that.
because I might get it and eat it later.
Right. I want to try to send a message. We'll do a self-care group, walking over mindfully, getting food, being grateful, and coming back.
Nice.
That's how it connects back to groups.
Oh, I like it.
Okay. Here's the announcements. Oh, I'm still sweating
Are you jogging?
I usually run an hour before this, but I had to do all this shit in Cincinnati. I got here at 11:30, so I ran till 12:30.
Nice. That's wonderful. I love a good run.
Yeah, I know. I hate that I sweat all day.
I need health insurance. I'm trying to get a hold of these people to get this taken care of. I only got a couple days left to do it.
There we go. You can carry them with us. We'll just walk.
I'm definitely gonna try to call them because I this last 2 weeks, it's literally, and I'm not exaggerating, I think you trust that I'm pretty organized. I have had zero time to do anything outside of my schedule. It's nonstop things, which is wonderful. I love it, but it's like I keep putting this off, and I'm like, I just gotta do it.
Right.
Even if I'm in the middle, I just gotta do it.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, bring it. It's good timing. Then are you still on hold or no?
No, they keep wormholing me. I'm just gonna call. The original number they gave me was, are we gonna go just us now?
I think so.
Yeah,
As I said, we'll be back by 1:30 because that's my guess for. Perdomo wants to go too, so we can snag him.
Yeah, let's just do that. No, I can call. I'd rather just hang out with you guys.
I could start. Okay, I know that there was. God, what is his fucking name?
Give me $815 chart if we don't kill this now.
I hate when they do that. Because, yeah, Perdomo's like, well, I'm coming, wait for me. And now I'm up here.
Yeah, let's all go chat, take a walk. Sounds fun. I just saw, is it Giriffy? Did I say your name? Giriffy?
Oh, Gifty. Gifty, because
like
she
Gifty,
was the
Gifty.
fifth girl in her, the first girl in her family out of 5 boys. So 5 boys, and she was the first girl.
Oh.
Okay, there we go. That gives us 38 minutes. And it's teaching groups. Dr. K.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the group psychology series. In this particular lesson, we're going to talk specifically about the pre-group meeting and some of the benefits and whatnot. Now, I will tell you that in an earlier lesson, some of this is covered, but redundancy is a good thing, especially in clinical courses. So I might be a little bit redundant, but it will also help as we move forward. So our general learning objectives are as follows. So I want to list and discuss the various tasks or the main tasks in forming a group. I want to address some of the approaches to group formation, such as recruiting, screening, and selecting members. I want you to understand various practical considerations when forming a group, the various purposes and uses of a pre-group meeting, and address some of the co-leadership issues that could occur. Now, what I want to impress upon you is that investing time and energy into the preparation phase of a group will most likely be well worth it in the long run. In this lecture, we're going to review various decisions that need to be made even before the group meets. So it should provide guidelines for developing group protocols, negotiating sensitively with staff at an agency or an institution that will help you get your groups off the ground. So we'll also talk about practical considerations such as group composition, size, duration, length, meeting place, and the issues related to attracting and screening prospective group members. We'll also review the benefits of holding pre-group meetings for the members. And what I will tell you, the biggest point is that research suggests that pre-group preparation is positively associated with group cohesion, member satisfaction, and comfort within the group format. So meeting in advance allows members the opportunity to explore their perceptions, concerns, and expectations, as well as the opportunity to learn the basic ground rules before the group starts, which is likely to decrease anxiety. I can't tell you how important this point is. Oftentimes, without this pre-group meeting, your group members might enter a group setting with an unrealistic expectation, such as the amount of time they might be afforded to speak on a various topic, on a given topic, and whatnot. So it also will reduce anxiety because you will talk to them and say, hey, you have the opportunity to share, but you won't be forced to share if you don't want to. What we ask of you is that if you're not comfortable sharing, at a minimum, just state the emotion you're feeling at that point. So you don't have to share why, just what you're experiencing. I also want to tell you that the leaders themselves can benefit from pre-group preparation. And the primary reason why leaders can benefit from pre-group preparation is that there might be differences in styles and how people approach group therapy. And that could complicate the group process. I can't tell you how bad it looks to group members if the co-leaders are stepping on each other's toes and it looks like they're not with one voice. So it gives the co-leaders an opportunity to discuss their leadership styles, their philosophies of group. And all of these could result in a better group outcome. Now, groups are being created in a variety of group settings to fit the unique needs of diverse clientele. So when we think about this, there are groups everywhere. I facilitated a group in my postdoc, and I worked at a senior care center working with older adults. And it was in a long-term rehabilitation center. So you could imagine that the individuals who were put into my group were not at the same level. Even their cognitive abilities were at different levels. So people go to long-term rehab centers for different reasons. But some people who were younger might have had a traumatic brain injury. Some people older might be there due to regular aging and health concerns. And then you had people with neurocognitive disorders all in the same facility. And when I did my postdoc, one of the requirements was to run groups for this community. And I struggled, to be honest with you, when I think about how we started. There were different cognitive ability levels. So, and because there were individuals who were Medicare, the groups had to run 90 minutes. So you had people who were sometimes nonverbal post-stroke. You had people who had memory issues and whatnot. And I was like, wow, how am I going to run this group? And then you had a whole nother group of people who were part of this experience, who were lucid and They were just aging and had complex medical issues, but cognitively they were there. And I remember speaking to my supervisor and saying, I don't know if this group composition makes sense, because you have high functioning, highly verbal individuals put in the same group as people who are lower functioning or nonverbal. And I asked the supervisor if it would be possible to have two separate groups. However, because it was a rehab center, they could not give me 3 hours a week for people to be pulled out. So I was kind of stuck. With, how am I going to do this? Because I had to put a heterogeneous community together, which is fine. And what I thought was, I'm going to work using photography, or I titled the group, Developing a Greater Awareness of Oneself Through the Arts. And what I did was I kind of mentally, I separated every group into two mini groups. And half of the group included some kind of expressive arts activity, such as photography. One week I rented disposable cameras and I took all the residents up to the roof of the facility, and they could take pictures of the flowers, they could take pictures of one another, they could take pictures of themselves. And then the second half of the group was to verbally process what they experienced, and then there are other drawing exercises, drawing one's view of oneself and talking about what that means, what their artwork meant for their experiences in life. So each group had to have two elements, a nonverbal piece, which was very performance-based, very hands-on artsy based, and the other half was very much verbal. And that allowed me to make sure that when I wrote my group notes, which is a requirement when billing insurance companies, that each individual could have unique targeted goals and outcomes. So I share with you this because when you think of group therapy, I don't know if you think of long-term rehab centers, and then the unique challenges that you're going to have to address or work around to make sure that the group is functional. So that's just one example. And when you do your practicum, you're going to experience some of this yourself. But I wanted to share with you, sometimes you have to be creative. Now, groups have become incredibly popular, and the goal is obviously to meet the needs of your clients, but also the demands of agency settings. So a long-term rehabilitation center is an agency, right? It's what people call nursing homes, but it's now been referred to as rehab centers. But it's an agency setting, so you can't just focus on the needs of your clients. You also have to focus on the agency needs and demands of the setting. And you have to be creative too. Another creative thing that I did was I always offered sweets. So I would go down to the cafeteria and I would ask the chef to put together a platter of pastries and coffee, which was a treat for individuals in a residential center or rehab center. So they had additional perks relative to their peers. So that also incentivized some people to come. So you really have to be creative about how you get people there and how you work on things. Now, I think we talked a little bit about the group proposal, but a group proposal is absolutely key to translating your ideas into action, right? So for many classes, including my group counseling class, I require students to write a group proposal. But there are 5 specific areas that you want to target. The rationale, the need for the group. So the objectives, what you will intend to accomplish during the group. Any practical considerations. So for me, it was cognitive abilities, verbal abilities. These are practical considerations. Procedures, how you intend to accomplish your goals, and any important interventions. So discovering oneself and their sense of self through photography or arts is 2 different examples of how we would figure out who we are. And then at the end, you have to strategize how you're going to assess your outcomes, which we've talked about. But it's good even before you run the group to be thinking about how you're going to assess your outcomes, because otherwise it becomes a moving target and you could say your group accomplished more than it actually did. Now, attracting and screening members. So the type of groups determine the kind of members that are suitable or unsuitable. So you want to think about who you're attracting and how you're going to screen people out. So when you're screening members, you should ask, should this person be included in this group at this time with this member? Now that question has 4 parts. You want to focus on the person themselves. You want to focus on what the purpose of the group is at this time, whether they're ready for a group, and with the leader. Now we talked about in a previous lesson about how the group leader shapes the group and how their theoretical orientation plays a role in all of this. So is it possible that this individual could benefit from group at this time with another leader? Maybe. But all 4 of these things, if the answer is yes to all 4, you're going to admit them. If the answer is no to some of these, now you have a tougher decision to make whether you're going to continue to allow that individual into the group. What methods of screening are you going to use, right? So are you going to do a pre-screen over the phone? Are you going to have them fill out a personality assessment before they participate? Are you going to have them show up and talk to you about their purposes and goals? There are different ways to screen, and a lot of pre-screening happens today over the phone. I'm not particularly a fan of that, but nevertheless, people do it. And in this post-COVID world, it's going to happen even more. So it's something to think about. And how can you determine who may or may not benefit from a particular group, right? You want to think about how are you going to sift through the candidates, and how would you deal with someone who you deem not suitable for your group? And there are different ways to handle it. Most of us in this line of work have colleagues who also run groups, and we might explore with our colleagues if they're running a group that's best for this individual. We also might say, well, even though you're not suitable for this group or any groups that I'm offering, I can offer you individual therapy if you're interested, or if they're needing a higher level of care altogether, you might mention that to them that, at this particular time, you feel that they might not benefit from group therapy as much as individual therapy, and push back a little bit so that they don't just jump into a group with someone else. Now, the group composition we talked about as well. So some of these slides are a little bit redundant, and I apologize. But group composition, we talked about whether you want a group that's homogeneous or heterogeneous. The more homogeneous a group is, the more likely you're going to have group cohesion. So that's something to think about. Now, group size, I always recommend anywhere between 8 to 12 participants is good. The frequency of groups, the standard frequency of groups is once a week. Now, I have seen people run groups that are more frequent than once a week, but that's less common. It could be, if people can afford it, that they might want a greater frequency. So in some high-end independent practices, they might have groups more than once a week. And the duration of the session, as you know, I've mentioned, they can range between an hour to 2 hours, but most groups settle in at anywhere between 60 minutes to 90 minutes. So you want to be mindful of the duration of each individual meeting. And then the length of the group, is kind of up to you. If you have specific targeted interventions, you might end up with a 12-week group, and that's it. And that's fine. And each week you engage in one psychoeducation activity or another. Actually, this is a good example. When doing my pre-doctoral internship, I ran another group for individuals who had a combination of substance abuse as well as mental health issues. And the focus of this group was anger. So they also had to have a history with anger and aggression. And this particular group went 12 weeks, and each week had its own focus, and there was a strong psychoeducational piece as well as an experiential piece in the group. But you always had something you wanted to impart upon them or teach them before you opened it up, such as some icebreakers we use is what's the difference between anger and aggression, right? So people think anger is bad, but anger is not bad. Anger is an emotion. Everybody gets angry from time to time. But the difference between anger and aggression is when that anger is not contained and you engage in an act that's intended to harm or destroy. So it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to harm other people, whether it be physically, verbally, or otherwise. So that might be the beginning discussion to talk about, okay, can we get a hold on the difference between anger and aggression? Now, you also want to think about the place for group settings. That makes a difference. So we talked about some groups that are more frequent.
I didn't
independent
realize that.
practice.
So obviously, I spent the last 8 years becoming the prince, right? I spent the last 8 years going, I'm going to make myself a better person.
Okay.
I've
Because I
seen
want a
groups
princess.
run a whole host
Not to
of
put
Well,
all my
thank
eggs in one
you.
basket or get too excited, but basically, that I think I found a really good princess.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Did you need to get food today?
No, I ate before I got here.
Okay, did you eat this stuff?
What is
It's
that?
free.
It's free outside of the camp
Oh,
today.
no?
Because you got a meal plan, right?
Me, no, I don't live on campus.
Oh, you don't?
Not this year.
Why did I think you did?
I did, but I live in the apartments in Zia now.
Okay.
Nice.
I feel like
I almost
I
moved out here when I first was looking, but I decided to stay near my work.
You've
I
got
almost got an apartment too in Xenia.
how much are they?
I'm from Dayton, but that's like a 30, 40 minute drive.
They're still about the same as in Dayton. They're not that much. I thought they'd be cheaper because it's a smaller town. I was like, no, it's about the same price.
It's about the same. When it started off, we only was paying like $1,060, but like for some reason, the second month it went up to like $1,100 something. So
Is that just a 1-bedroom too?
Mhm.
Yeah. See, this is why it's good to have a roommate. Me and my brother are staying together. We only pay $1,250, but if you have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, upstairs, downstairs, washer, dryer, dishwasher.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
but that's the difference is only a couple $100 if you can get a 2-bedroom, but
Right.
that you can't justify it when you're alone. It's like
right.
$300 more a month. I can't do it.
So are all of you off campus?
I'm off
I
campus.
don't think the other ones, I think everyone else lives.
So they don't have a good
She's
excuse.
on campus.
Yeah.
What's her name? The tiny one?
Yeah.
She's on campus. I think Increase is on campus too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, Increase is on campus.
They're all
Okay.
younger too, so yeah, but I did live on campus, last year.
I even
Oh,
who's
you
the
did?
guy- Who's the other guy in here?
Mari.
Mari, he's on campus too, right?
Mari
Yeah, that's what I thought.
lives on campus too.
Somebody asked for the link, so I got to do recently closed. I think it's this one.
Oh, yes, about that, you know you can mute it,
The whole time.
yes,
Is it? Now it's not though,
okay.
right?
Well, like, the one time I was on there, I was muted,
Yeah.
but your chat wasn't on, so I couldn't say anything.
Okay, sorry
That was
about
the
that.
same day that Increase, I'm pretty sure, mentioned it.
Right.
He's like, he was muted that day. Like, yeah, we forgot.
So my excuse is that is not the only way to see my class. But it's an in-person class. That's
Right.
But I do offer it to you guys. Somebody else just asked, like, can I go? I'm like, we're really not supposed to do it, but yes, if that's what you do, that's what you do. Like when I was in college, it was all on us. Whatever we did, it was all on us. And because of that, I guess they would drop the hammer and fail you if you missed more than, usually it was 6. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6. I have to send the link out. So I don't prefer it, but I also want multiple methodologies for people to succeed.
Yeah.
Like, and because of that, yes, I know I'm stretching the rules. He said, if you get food, stop by and pick me up. Oh, we already did. That was at 12:59. So the kids love the mac and cheese. I usually, that's so many carbs. I usually don't. I guess I did want to have a salad, but here is I guess any questions to start off, or thoughts or opinions, or that way I can try to get one bite and chew while you guys.
Half a cup of quinoa.
When we do, cause I'm gonna do my
So
group thingy this week, but did you want that in a certain format, or did you just want us to answer the questions?
It's at the bottom of the syllabus. So, and if you just answer them, that's fine. If you want to do paragraphs format, that's fine too. I know that's not helping you, so I'm just kind of loosey goosey.
Yeah, I'm gonna literally print out the list and make it on my drive. I'm gonna leave it sections so I can write a couple sentences, and I'm just gonna kind of literally, I got tomorrow, I got an AA open meeting, and I'm gonna go. sit
Oh
down.
yeah, you're going in person.
Yeah, of course. I do everything in person, so I can help it.
Are you doing your online or in person?
I'm gonna do mine online. It's kind of hard because I go like right after your class, I go straight into work.
Right.
So
Where do you work at?
I work in the mall at Chick-fil-A.
Dude, I want to come visit. Which one?
The mall, the Fairfield Mall.
But they don't have breakfast, do they?
No, I think they do, but I don't work breakfast, so I wouldn't know. But I'm pretty sure they do. But their breakfast usually closes at 10:30. But
That is my
the
only.
mall opens around like 8 or 9, so their breakfast probably is only open for like an hour or 2.
Okay. I remember the mall at our city does not have any breakfast, and that's why I'm like, I can't go to the ones in the mall. Because I only eat vegetarian, and that gives me limited options.
Right.
That's how I stay plump with all my carbs. Because
Do you eat eggs?
I do eat eggs. I
You
eat
should eat a
the
lot of those,
heck
right?
out of
Okay,
eggs.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
I was
man.
hoping you did. Not that I have
Uh-huh.
anything against vegetarian, but like, that's why I think the vegan diet is horrific.
Mhm.
I think it's an
Right.
awful thing for our society. And by, not even by opinion, by literal definition,
I
of the
agree.
actual outcomes and
Uh-huh.
the effects it has on your body.
My
at the very least,
brother-
eggs you eat.
My brother is a professor at UC. He teaches sustainable design and permaculture. And he argues with the vegans online about how unsustainable the vegan diet is. Because if you don't grow your own food, you got to ship it around the world in the winter. If you do grow,
process the shit out of stuff just to get the same. I mean, like literally, tofu. It's not like I have anything against tofu necessarily, but tofu is the most processed thing you can own.
Mhm.
There's nothing more processed than tofu.
Right.
And what's funny is it's contradicted towards their original movement, which is like we're trying to get away from the process and the more healthy. It's like, oh my god, you got the most processed diet out of all of us. You're like trying to make fake cheese. like
Mhm.
combining all kinds of stuff together. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, holy jeez.
I
Not to
know.
mention, have you seen the spokespeople who started it? So that one of the, there's a couple, you see them later, they look like they're dead skeletons now.
Do they really? Are they
look
still alive?
horrific. They look horrific, man. And this was like, they were like, here's a 30-year vegan diet. This is what it looks like. And they look like they're dying.
Mm-hmm.
Their teeth are falling out. Like,
Really?
like literally, their teeth are like here, let me think. Who's
And they're still alive somehow?
they're still alive. They're
So
just-
what
they
year
look
was
terrible.
veganism like popularized?
Well, it's because it's part of an ideology. It's not part of science. It's so you know as good as anybody that if you want to find stuff that proves things,
Mhm.
there's no end to it. I can prove that
Yes.
dog crap is good for you. I can
Right.
really make that happen, right?
Right.
But the ideology is so strong because it's not about the diet. It's
Yeah.
attached to the idea that we are terrible beings. Everything else is better than us, so we have to do
Mhm.
everything we can to not affect the world in any way, including not eating animals. It's really that's the thing that pushes vegan diets. It's like a virtue signal. It's like I'm so awesome and moral, I can't even eat an egg. I can't even eat
Right.
a potential non-fertilized egg. It's like, are you kidding me?
Well,
Like, that's
there's
really where it
that,
comes from.
that age-old joke. How do you know if you're eating with a vegan? They will let you know.
Yeah.
They always let you know.
And
It's all
that's-
about
that says a lot, right?
philosophy and ideology.
Yeah.
Like it's a talking point. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, that even alone is enough to make me skeptical. But then when you dig into the actual science of what your body needs and
Mhm.
how this food production is done,
yeah,
it's literally the most hypocritical and counterproductive towards their own like virtue signaling. They'll
It
say
is.
all this stuff, and then you actually bring them the evidence, and they'll just pretend they didn't see it. Oh no,
Right.
guys, you're wrong. It doesn't matter. My point and my ideology is more important than any of the details. It's like
Right,
that's not
yeah.
true.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
if anything, the details are more important than your ideology.
Right.
You could wave a flag all day about compassion and saving children, right? But if the way you do it kills children somewhere else, then you're an evil entity, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Like, you're like, oh, look, I saved this one kid in my neighborhood. It's like, yeah, but the process you did killed 6 in Africa. It's like
Right.
if you're not aware of that, there's something wrong with you. And that's kind of what
Right.
those kind of toxic ideologies usually produce. Not to generalize them, but they don't consider the wide scope. They consider their narrow end, and they back it with just emotional stimulation. It's
Yeah.
like I feel this way and I'll fight for it. And it's like, well, here let's look at it logically. And they're like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that. I'm not. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. It is very interesting, and
Very.
I just want to show you guys some of the initial things of the group, but it's I like how they start out where they say groups are not a second-rate approach to helping people change.
I'm sure there's a misconception.
Right, yeah, like you got group counseling, you should be doing like one-on-one or individual or something. Groups are the treatment of choice, which is interesting. That's just as opinionated as the first one, but groups are offer natural laboratory where people can experiment with new ways of being. And I know you've already said that because some of them will give each other in the 10 weeks that they're in a group together. They bounce ideas off of each other and they share ideas. So that's why a lot of groups work very well. Members' interpersonal difficulties get played out in the group. Hello,
Hey.
how you doing?
Good.
You must come from all the way over the other side of campus, huh?
No, not really.
Mm-mm.
I was in a war.
Where's that one? I should know. Is that the?
I think it's still, yeah, but then I wait right there.
Did you get any of the free food?
No.
You don't want it. If it's free, it's not for me. That's what some people say.
Is the calf making this time?
I think it is the calf. That's why everybody's like, "Oh, it's just calf food again. I don't want that." And I'm like, "Well, I never eaten a calf, so."
Burgers, not dogs. Real food. Typical American.
Right. Yeah. I did eat it. I saw it, I smelled it, and I got some. Do you have any questions about the group observation?
No, not really.
What one were you going to do?
I think probably the online one.
Okay.
So that would be like a certain length. Like how many pages?
There's a questionnaire.
It's just the last 2 pages of your syllabus.
Yeah, they said you can either do it informed like that, or you can just answer the questions that are on there.
Yeah, so if you want to just go through the questions or answer it paragraph form, it's just called the group assessment. There we go. And yeah, it's just kind of the details that you would also get and see in your book. The other thing about Alcoholics Anonymous is it does give some of the more diverse groups that I've seen is addiction affects everybody. Alcoholism.
They even have themes too. It's kind of cool. Like the way they approach it is different.
Yeah. Yep. So the group process is all the elements that are basic to the unfolding of a group from beginning to end. So you've got group norms, generating trust, level of cohesion. I know I've bounced around. I'm going all the way back to the beginning on this. I'm like, I might as well start at the very start. Healing forces within the group. That's why most people do like the groups, because other people will do just as much work as the counselor in the group. And then some of the techniques, your leader interventions are aimed at facilitating movement within the group. And those examples are like conducting initial interviews, asking a member to role play a conflict. That's where you'll see a lot. Challenging members' belief systems, and then suggesting homework. I'm good at the suggesting homework mainly because I always say it is voluntary to come to the counseling process. I know that a lot of them are court ordered, but I know you can choose jail or choose the group. And I suggest it because I'm like, you really have to want it in order to get something out of it. I guess I'm a weird stickler.
No, there has to be at least the smallest amount of buy-in. Even if the buy-in is just that, like, I'm just so sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I don't know what else to do. That has to be the minimum. Yeah. And that's what I usually go with. So I'm like, these are but mere suggestions. So if you don't want to do this stuff, it is okay. And I know people often like look at me like crooked-eyed, like, really? I don't have to. I'm like, no, I'm not going to make you do anything. And I don't think it'll be valuable if you were forced to do it anyway. And maybe I approach some of the schooling that way too. And that was how I was taught. Like, if you showed up to class, great. If you missed it, it is more your problem than it is mine. Grad school's even more so that way. Well, because they treat you more like an adult, meaning like it's you learn, you don't, and you're going to go on suffering later, not me.
Right. Yes. So, well, there it is. The first line, presented as a choice. Members should be invited to experiment with new behavior. So it's an invitation. I like that word. It's an invitation to participate. Yes, it could be court ordered, and yes, you could go to jail. So you feel forced, but you still could go to jail. Introduced in a sensitive and timely fashion, used with consideration for the member's cultural background, and have a rationale, and should be abandoned if proven ineffective. Anybody think of a good example of what should be abandoned if proven ineffective?
Like during the group?
Mm-hmm. Have you ever run into that?
You mean in general or like in that moment?
Maybe tough love. Yeah, I'm thinking like approaches to the group. Maybe if.
Yeah, I mean, I know one phenomena that I would see is if I notice nobody is engaging back. And sometimes that's not all black and white, because some groups you can tell they're just listeners.
Yeah.
The way they engage. But I've been in some where I can't motivate them, and I just stop and I'm like, hey, you know what? You guys want to go outside instead for a minute? And I'll take them outside, and then while they're doing that, I'll sneak in the information without them.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'll. It's basically I like to think of it as pivoting or changing frameworks. Like
Right.
when I notice the framework isn't working, I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's because they're sitting in a row. Let's do something different.
Right.
Let's go play basketball, and then while we're playing basketball, I'll try to equate the baskets to something that we were going to talk about anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's how they trained us to do multidimensional family therapy, and like it was connecting with them at their level, at their home visit, and on the basketball court if you had to, or eating out.
That's more effective in my opinion than
Yeah.
any group.
Yeah. Here's some of the theory behind the practice. Integrative conceptual framework. So that involves thinking, feeling, and behaving dimensions and is challenging to create and implement. Technical eclecticism, based on utilizing techniques from a variety of theoretical models. That's probably the one that I go towards. Or theoretical integration, a conceptual and theoretical creation beyond mere blending of techniques. I often still use the ecological approach where it's like a holistic body, mind, spirit approach to
recovery and whatever,
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, this should always be part of it. I don't think there should be any other. It doesn't make sense.
right.
It's like links in a chain, right?
Mhm.
Like if one of them's broken, it doesn't matter how well you do it. Once eventually those crumble, it just doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. So there are several different kinds of groups: the task groups, psychoeducational, group counseling, or group psychotherapy. So task groups aim to foster accomplishing identified work goals. Psychoeducational group aims to educate well-functioning group members who want to acquire information and skills in an area of living. Sometimes we would bill those groups case management because you could even bill a counseling group or a case management group. Group counseling aims at preventative and educational purposes, utilizes methods of interactive feedback within a here and now time framework. Group psychotherapy aims at remediation of in-depth psychological problems, often focuses on past influences or present difficulties, like a trauma group.
Yeah,
I feel
traumas,
like.
cases, different things. Maybe even use them if I could guess, anyways. Maybe even use them because of their empathies and their similarities. Because usually those groups have similar things, like, hey, how did you deal with it? So they can learn from each other and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not feel alone.
Some people are a big fan of brief group therapy. It's time limited, structured, lasts 2 to 3 months, and consists of 8 to 12 weekly sessions. I feel like a lot of groups are within that time frame.
8 to 12
8 to 12.
weekly.
Oh, I meant 12 weeks. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was gonna say, holy Jesus, that's a lot. Okay, yeah, 12 weeks, sorry.
But this would be like IOP. So the brief one would be, probably intensive outpatient, where you do. My friend just had to do it for getting in trouble. He's a Marine veteran, has PTSD, drank to blackout, and I think he yelled at the wife and said he would take the baby into the woods and live there by himself with the baby. Not to hurt the baby,
The
but
things
just
actually happens more often than you think.
right, yeah.
The literal thing with those people.
So they made him do like domestic violence and alcohol group, and they had to do he had, I think it was like 8 to 12 weekly sessions, and it lasts about 2 months. So he's like just now about graduating from it. He's done okay with it. Facilitators of BGT, so you need training in the group process and brief therapy. And then the advantages is well suited to the needs of both clients and managed care. Gosh, we're still talking managed care. Cost effective. This one's a little older though, so I'm sure that was more of a talk. Widely applicable to diverse client populations and problems, and can be used for different settings like school and community agencies. Schools use them a lot too. So multicultural perspective. So like achieving cultural competence is a lifelong journey. Like I'm still learning stuff. When I did a group with refugees at St. Leo's Food Pantry and learned Kirundi because it was a derivative of Swahili, and we decided on horticulture therapy because that was the main thing they were asking for. We started out by asking what their needs were. They were post-Civil War refugees from Burundi, Africa, and they said they wanted a green space to grow their own food and learning English as a second language. So we kind of let them drive the conversation. We were able to set those two things up. So the effective group work involves culture Considering the culture of participants, group workers must have awareness, knowledge, and skills to effectively deal with diverse membership. And then cultural similarities and differences need to be addressed in the group. So for us, it was helpful to just be open to listening what their unmet needs were instead of coming in, telling them what they need to do and kind of forcing something on them. Like, used also acculturation instead of assimilation, like the old 1960s way of working with diversity was assimilation, where you like make everybody similar and be American. Acculturation means you keep pieces of your culture and also acculturate to the American society. So we kind of did that to respect their multicultural perspective. Here's a big long quote for you. Helping process and include screening, assessing, diagnosing dynamics of group social systems, members, and leadership for the purpose of establishing goals, outcomes, and processes. For us, that was getting them employed. In 3 years after you're a post-Civil War refugee, asylum refugees get benefits for only 2 or 3 years. So we wanted to have them self-supporting, off the government's dole, and with jobs by the year 2 or year 3. So that was the outcome goals, and then interventions that are informed by multicultural counseling knowledge, skills, and abilities. So the ESL was a big part of that. And that's how they also got citizenship, because I think you have to pass so much of an English test to gain citizenship. You don't have to be like fluent, but a bit of English. So it was a process of planning, implementing, evaluating group work strategies. And part of the evaluation was asking them what could be done better, what could we do to serve them better. And then socioculture context of human variability, group and individual identity, worldviews, statuses, power, and other salient demographic factors to facilitate human and organizational development. It's a lot of words. But we wanted to orient people to be able to, they were permanent residents of the United States, so they're going to be here, and we wanted to just get them ready for living in America. If the war ever ends in Burundi, they would maybe go back, but they would then also have to have enough money to buy a plane ticket and fly back and see them. So we were just setting them up for being self-supporting by their own contributions at the end. That was kind of our group. That's what my dissertation is on. So
Really?
yeah.
Just this like helping these this specific.
It is. It was an
situation.
evaluation of the refugee resettlement group in St. Leo's.
How long did it take you to do?
4 years.
4 years. That's pretty
4
quick, actually,
years.
for this station.
I did the 4 years of classes too.
While doing it.
So I did the 4 years of classes first, and then I did 4 years of dissertating.
I see. You didn't start until the end of classes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I was working with this group all along. So
Yes, you were collecting the experience needed to actually generate it, but that's still pretty good. I mean, some people spend 10 years in a dissertation.
right.
That's pretty normal time.
Yeah, and they actually, that is the maximum they'll give you now. Is if I went one more year, I had to. It has my theology thesis here too. That's hilarious. Okay, that's my thesis for theology.
Thesis is and that was in your master's.
Yeah, I did a master's,
So thesis in your master's, dissertation for a doctorate, right?
and I had a thesis in undergrad too. So
And
theology,
thesis.
psychology. I had to write a theology thesis. Master of Social Work, we did like a case review, and then I did actually Al-Anon family groups. I don't even know what I call it. I would have to look it up. It's been 21 years. But then my theology master's was a MA in theology and pastoral counseling. So I wrote on the issue of debt and its impact on the global society. Mm-hmm. Then the dissertation was an evaluation of the St. Leo Burundi Refugee Ministry Program. So if you guys ever get bored and want to see a dissertation, most people don't, and I understand.
And then, so wait, you did your undergrad one just cause as like an extra thing, like so then like
They required a theology thesis in undergraduate to get our bachelor's in theology.
Interesting.
It was
weird.
weird.
Didn't like that for social work, really, huh?
No, and I never got a social work bachelor's either. So my bachelor's is psychology,
Masters.
and I got a master's in social work, and I had to do like big
I
paper
feel
there.
like that's so important even for a bachelor's because again, those things are like, because it's less commitment than a dissertation, but they're the culmination of your actual ability as well as your passion and impact on the field itself.
Mm-hmm.
Without that, because you could coach through and get good enough grades to get it and have no real connection to the field whatsoever.
Right.
And that doesn't really produce a good social worker in the end.
I
It
agree.
produces just a body that then says, I can do this. And then you have to,
Yeah.
we're basically like someone off the street going into it with some knowledge.
Yeah, like at UC, they did make my students write this research proposal, and it was I think that they plagiarized my dissertation, but I was reading it yesterday. I never looked at it when I was. It wasn't my dissertation at the time. They were in 2014, but I had interns and like I openly shared my research and I said share whatever you want, but it literally is the same.
They like took a big chunk of it.
Right.
Interesting.
It's fine. I don't know if I had any of it published then, so I guess it wouldn't have been, But they had to write this for their BSW at UC. I guess was my point here. Is
Yeah.
these two had to write it for Professor Gary Dick at UC.
I might do, if you have any suggestions, this week I'm gonna get to it because I need to do an honors project for this class.
Okay.
I'm gonna, if I can somehow capitalize on all three of the honors ones I need for social work,
Yeah.
culminating into one major thesis that you would have normally had for that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind doing that just so I can say I did it, whether I have
For sure,
it
yeah.
or not, just be like, yeah, this was my thesis at my bachelor's in social work.
This is what I had to write right here. I did thesis then was the spirituality of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous.
You were pointing out the connections of that, like how spirituality was so impactful and like intertwined, and
Yeah.
why that program's lasted longer than any other because of it.
Yeah, they passed me on it. I don't know how good it was because we're talking 21 years ago.
That's good. That's a good. That's the reason.
24 years ago. Yeah, I guess I was going to see if I could actually find a copy of that because it's hard to. You guys ever keep any of your old papers? This would be when we had the 3x5 floppy.
No, that's why Google Drive's so amazing. No, I have nothing from back. I have a couple of things from way back in the day on the thumb drive, but
Right.
it's like no Google Drive's just like YouTube. It's revolutionized an entire part of our being. Just like from now on, I can forever keep stuff on my drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Folder.
Yeah. This was kind of what I wanted to do work on. And it was group work back then, obviously. So the spirituality of the 12 steps, the MA theology made us have theology and dead. And then at UC, they had you do a final research thesis, family addiction recovery. So I've kind of always had that be my specialty. It often is group work. So I guess in a sense, by default, I've always been involved in group work. Maybe that's why I've tried to get away from it in my practice. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I've always been in and out of groups for life. And then, the dissertation, which is 150 pages. That's always fun to do.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Anyway, so any questions on some of those? I want to get Corey. See, I showed you week 6 last week on Corey, and I was like, I'm going to go in order and try to be normal and actually go in order. Which there are so many. He also gets into the typical forming, norming, storming, performing, and adjourning, but he does it more towards the end. So like his last few chapters are. But like as effective group leaders, you mentioned it not last week, but 2 days ago, that like you're an entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and my friend has always said that about being a teacher. If we're not a good enough entertainer, like it
What do they
is.
call those halls in the major call? They're called something performance halls, right?
Are they? Okay.
That's what they call those original massive halls. They're called performance halls that
Okay.
teachers like actually teach at. And
Right.
The first academia basically was born there.
Right. Yeah. And nowadays we can cheat because we can pull up stuff on the internet and be like, like I don't want to make it all group social work. They actually don't have much when you go to like videos and YouTubes, but just learning about group work. and group theory, but just like the effectiveness in groups, especially in addictions, is impressive because they do learn from each other. But to be the leader there, having courage, goodwill and caring, becoming aware of your own culture, stamina, which sounds weird, but I mean, it can be like hour and a half, right? Or most of your groups.
Stamina. 15 minutes in, the kids are glossing over. If you don't have anything interesting or like you're not performing well, they're like, "Bleh."
Yeah.
For sure, that's a big one.
The willingness to model a belief in the group process, presence, openness, non-defensiveness.
Yeah.
That probably helps a lot.
Yeah.
The non-defensiveness.
Big time. That's hard to get past, especially if there's one that's really vocal in the group. They'll delay it and they'll make it harder because now you're not teaching. You're like spending the whole time trying to counteract their objections.
Yes,
You're like,
for
no,
sure.
I don't want to get into this. Look at me now.
And this willingness to seek new experiences is like you're teachable. You're still being teachable and are open to being teachable. Then the optimal group climate is safe and positive and supportive, yet is strong enough to withstand highly charged emotions, challenges, interactions between members. Leaders' interpersonal skills, genuineness, empathy, warmth are significant. And that goes along with teaching too, as I often correlate teaching to like your group. You've got a group in your class. Developing competence and using group leadership skills, it's essential to refine them. They can't be separated from the leader's personality. It's an art to learn these group skills. So I think why most people hate groups, and you were hitting on it last time, is because like that nervousness that sets in when you're first doing it. And it does take some like time in the trenches, or it helped me to have 25 years working in social work to then be able to teach about it.
For sure.
So we do have teachers that don't practice much, like Miami has a ton of them. I should say all colleges have a ton of them. They've just stayed in academia forever. Now, luckily you do have your internship, so you have to do something there.
Yeah, but after a couple of years, there's a reason why it's like you're not as effective as you used to be, man.
Right.
Especially in the non-vein. Doctors
Right.
are guilty of this too. It's like they get this big degree. 10 years later, so much is different.
Yep.
And there's no incentive to go back. And yet they're the ones making decisions on them now in the real world.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And so for me, that was important to, it says at the bottom, skills learned through supervised experience, practice, feedback, and participation as a member. So I had to have all of those before. When I even started teaching, I didn't even really want to teach. I was going to a doctorate in counseling to become a better counselor, a better social worker, but we had no doctorate in social work local. So I just went, they said they accept MSW students. So I went and I had to take 2 or 3 extra classes. So that's where
Teaching?
for the counseling masters instead of a social work master's, there's only about 2 or 3 classes difference.
Oh, I think so. I'm curious. So you did social work master's, but you're still a counselor if you want, because you can be licensed.
Yep.
What's the benefit of getting one? So I know the benefit of social work is you can also do a bunch of stuff. What's
Yes.
the benefit of only getting the counseling one?
The master's or the doctorate?
The master or the doctorate even, like.
So for me with the doctorate, it might have just been ego, and then I wanted to teach, so it did help to teach, but not much benefit at all.
I was gonna say, because and when I mean benefit, I mean it can be like a doctorate in social work doesn't give you everything that a doctor and counselor, every ability to do that a doctor and counselor would do anyways.
Yeah,
Basically.
except you couldn't teach in a counselor education.
So that's it. So you're only
Yep.
getting the counseling, teaching, education kind of thing.
Right.
So if you're not going to be a teacher in counseling, then you want to go with the social work one.
I would think so.
Yeah,
that
makes sense. I mean, I know
Yes.
a little bit, but that makes sense.
Well, especially if you can fire through the way Dr. Jackson did. Like, that is awesome. You can be done in a year and a half with your doctorate in social work.
The doctor or PsyD?
It is
PhD?
DSW. You can get a PhD. I think they only add on 1 more year for that. So the UK, and they let you switch if you wanted to do DSW at first, and you're like, you know what, I want to do the PhD now. I think they let you just do the extra courses.
It's not like a 6-year thing anymore?
Not at UK. No.
What's UK?
The University of Kentucky.
Interesting.
and they're all kind of going that direction. So it would be, that's when I first started teaching. So I had to do the
Nice.
professor jacket where you have the patches on your
That's right.
elbow and then a ponytail. You got to have
That's
a
great.
ponytail and patches on
Very
your
cool.
elbows.
You got that Ferris Bueller
Right.
look going on.
dswuky.edu.
It's not Ferris Bueller. What's the one with Tom Cruise? It reminds me of Ferris Bueller.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
There's a teacher that era. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, so here's
Movies.
the UK College of Social Work. I don't know if there's another quick link to this because that was really weird.
Only University of Kentucky does this. No, like everyone else makes you.
There's
6
other
years
people that
versus-
have a DSW.
But so the DSW is the accelerated doctorate.
It is.
I see.
The DSW is, now it's looking up the shoe store for me. And that's not what I'm looking for. DSW designer shoes, UK. Let's just do that. So the DSW program is, well, that's weird. It says no information on this page. So they give you the option if you guys wanted to for BASW, MSW, DSW, and then here's the PhD. I don't think it's much. So say it's 2 years for a DSW, it might only be 3 for the
That's
doctor.
great. I mean, because the general is usually like 6. That's why I was kind of, I'm going to do it no matter what, but I was kind of dreading the idea of after I get my master's,
Yeah.
having another 6 more years. I was like,
No.
"Yeah."
This is a top tier school. The DSW is fine.
Yeah, so it's just like double the accelerated master's units. I only like, so after I graduate, in the span of like 3, maybe 4 years tops, I could have a doctorate.
Yeah, so it looks like the core curriculum you get done in a year and a half. So if you did it full time and then however long your dissertation takes you.
Interesting.
So a year and a half for coursework and probably one.
So
and
if
a
I start my
half.
dissertation now, which is what I've been doing, I should be able to go right into it. Just bam, roll right into
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
That's cool.
And then
That's
here's,
what
are all of you guys interested in graduate school?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I do want to see how it goes after I graduate college first. before I
Okay.
Jump right into it.
Right.
'Cause
As cool as this-
for me, like,
1 year.
oh yeah, no, I
It's-
think I want to take like one of those big breaks, but like, I
Yeah.
want to make sure like I'm prepared and at least have something going on in my field once I graduate.
Right. Okay, here's
I
the
say don't. I say go right into school.
I agree. I did right into
Literally
school
go right into
because
school.
I will quit forever.
Trust me,
When I
everybody
stop,
does. It's
I will
really rare that
quit.
someone doesn't.
so
You're
here's
just complacent.
here's everything for the DSW. That's it.
Plus, you don't roll if you do it right away. You don't realize you capitalize on the stuff you've learned. It's kind of like how if you've had like 3 classes in a row that have similar overlap, how easy the third one is. Like you're almost like using the same essays you had, but adapting them. The similar kind of thing
Yeah,
happens if you
that's
just
kind
roll
of how my
forward.
classes is now because I'm taking all the general classes at once, and they're kind of all tying into.
Imagine that if you wait a year or 2, that goes away completely. You start from
Oh
scratch.
yeah, no.
So just think about that when you're doing it.
I'm waiting that long.
Yeah. Because that's
I'm the exact same. If I wait too long, I'm like, yeah, no.
no. Most everybody, it's like a 95% of people or something that say, "Oh, I'm gonna stop at my master's and then I'll go back." They never do.
Mhm.
Never do. It's like not a little bit. Like almost everybody never does.
So here is also, just so you guys would see what's ahead right after that, here is the advanced standing. And they let you start here, fall, spring, or summer. I freaking love that.
That's cool.
But say you do it and you want to just keep going. Let's see how I can do this. So this is,
because then no matter when you graduate, you can just immediately start next semester.
you can.
That's cool.
So if you did that, and then say you did this DSW, I don't know how, is this going to fuck up my formatting?
Nope. So you literally do the same.
That is weird. I think you're right. Because I tried to copy their, this stuff. Does it not copy text? So if you did this way and you go right into, that sucks. But it's a year. I guess I could show you from here. So it's a year and you get it done. Summer 1, fall 1, spring 1, and you're done. So it's 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 30 hours there. I could put them side by side. Let's do that.
Doctorate?
That's the master's.
That's a master's.
And then here is your doctorate, which is year one. It's summer. It's almost the same. And then it's fall, supervision, ethics, professional practice, the science of social work, statistics for social workers. They do have you take 18 hours, which is a good, if those are all 3-hour courses. And
That's
then,
right. Not to mention the classes are probably harder, and you just literally like factually, right? It's
Mhm.
not just that they're it's not like 3 credit compared to like an undergrad.
oh, I'm lying. This is spring one. So it is just 9 and then 9. So you would do
Okay.
summer 6, 9, 9, and then you do 6, 9, and then 9.
Yeah, 'cause it's considered full time with less credits, right? When you get to master's and doctorate.
Right.
That's what he said. He was like,
9 hours.
He was like, he said it's because those 3 credits
Mhm.
aren't the same as he was like, they're much more like the classes, you know, in his opinion, he said almost twice as hard as what you would experience in like a normal undergrad.
Yes.
Depending on what it is. It's a lot of work. They really challenge you.
So here's, I want to show you side by side if I can. So there's the curriculum for your DSW, and it is just, I think it will shrink. So you have year one and year two, and then here's your fall and your spring with that. Like if you want to finish all of your stuff, MSW done in a year, DSW done in 2 years. So you can be done 3 years after your bachelor's.
So that's pretty good. That means,
It's crazy.
It is crazy. That means I'll be under 45 when I graduate
Mhm.
my doctorate. That's pretty great.
And that's all online. You could do it in person. I did all mine in person. Dr. Jackson did all hers online.
I prefer it in person if I can.
Yeah. I think for the Bahamas to pay for it, it has to be in person. Is that true?
I don't even know.
At least
I'm
more than
about to
half?
pay for graduate school.
Say that shows their recognition of how important it is.
It
They're
does.
like, I'm not paying for it unless you go in person.
What'd you say about,
Oh, I said, I'm not sure if they pay for graduate school.
we'll get them to pay for it. We got UC to pay for somebody from the Bahamas. She's finishing in the spring now.
Oh, man.
She started this summer. And then, yeah, so this would be, 1 year for your master's, really 2 for your doctorate. And then if you wanted the PhD, it looks like it would be maybe 2.5 to 3.5. It just depends on how fast you work.
I'd probably do the longer one. I don't mind if it's another year if it means I don't have to, because I'm still going to have to work this whole time.
Yeah.
None of this is going to stop. I'll probably have a kid then.
Right. And Dr. Jackson,
I'll probably like you getting married, having a child at the same time.
It's
I don't know if
insane.
I don't know if I want to do it.
Dr. Jackson had her kid the week of her graduation for the doctorate. So, and she was working full time here.
And we were doing, I remember right where she was popping, we were doing my,
Yeah.
scheduling my stuff. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
about to graduate.
So just so you guys know, you can be killing it. Some of these are really so introductory that it's almost like intuitive already. So maybe that is why I skipped to week 6 on Corey, or week 5. We'll go to chapter 3 and see if, we already did ethical and legal issues. So, this is a big one though. This is counseling wherever you go. You've got to get informed consent to people signing up for a group or counseling or to be a social worker. You've got to give them adequate information that lets them know if they want to join a group or if they want to come to you for counseling, and they've got to sign it. If you don't,
These forms, you're saying.
if you don't get that, then you shouldn't be seeing anybody. So that's number one, no matter where you practice. It's informed consent, and just like it's voluntary. So here's
informed consent.
here's involuntary. So some are involuntary. The challenge is to demonstrate the value of a group for the members. Basic information is about the group is essential, and avoid assuming that involuntary members will not want to change.
Yeah, that's my full job is this.
Okay.
Nobody's
You have the
volunteering.
involuntary. Do they have just like a charge or two?
What do you mean?
Like if they're involuntary, are they court ordered because they picked up a drinking charge, a smoking charge?
Oh, it's all pink slip because of suicide allegation. So there's a bunch of stuff mixed in. Everything you've been talking about is always a factor within their case,
Yeah.
because that's why they got to the point. Nobody just decides to do that. And it's really rare that someone decides to do that and has nothing else going on in their life that's kind of bad, like whether it's drug, alcohol, or bad relationships, or like just a bad situation, or anger management issues or impulse control. But they're a pink slip. So that pink slip and the admission that takes care of all of that. It's like you're involved. Once you got here, whether you want to or not, you've got to get involved in this stuff. We don't make you go to the groups, but when they go, we don't have to double check because it's all part of their admission.
So it's a pink slip, like they could get fired if they don't do it.
No, pink slip is a literal, your rights are taken for 72 hours. Pink slip means you can't go if you wanted to. They'll throw you in, they'll strap you to a bed and shoot you up if you want to. So pink slips were designed originally because in the psych wards, and it's a way to understand the empathy towards the patients, not for the system,
Yeah.
is that docs would check someone in, and then if they didn't check them out, the person would have to stay. Right? So they made pink slips say that now a doc has to sign a new one every 3 days. Otherwise, if they forget about the patient, they're going to let them go. It also means that you literally, your basic rights are no longer valid for that 72 hours. So you can't leave by choice. You can't say, I'm walking the door, like, nope, it's locked. If you try to leave, we'll make the guards take you and put you in a room. If you fight with us, we'll strap you to a bed. Not that we do that a lot. It's a very rare case. People are much better in general than you would imagine, and they're just wonderful. Even the most severe schizophrenics and violent histories are so kind and non-violent when you go down. But if we needed to, we stop you. You're not going nowhere.
Yeah, so that is an interesting way that they get to deal with them. I was just trying to make sure this one said the same thing. Like, we can teach you guys about confidentiality, but I can't force it on you. There's no way to hold you accountable. Like, if you broke confidentiality, you're not going to get arrested for it. I could lose my license for it. But I don't know if people that are participants in a group necessarily have anything to lose. So they could, and that's why we remind members at various points in the group the importance of maintaining confidentiality. That's about as far as we can go with enforcing, like, I was in a group with O.J. Simpson or whatever it was, like, you can't force people to keep that secret. So I do like that groups are not a forum for you to impose your values on group members. I can talk about how they're helpful to me or what I do is beneficial. You may want to look into it yourself and do your own research, but make your own decisions. That's kind of like where I always end with, like,
that one's hard.
It
is hard to
is.
even understand what it looks like. That one's hard to even enforce because the thing we're teaching them are values that we've all agreed upon by society.
Yeah.
Meaning like thou shalt not steal.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Don't do
they got
others.
arrested.
Yeah, exactly. We're kind of using that, and those can also be your values. But I know what you mean. The nuance of like whatever's subjective about that. It's
right.
It's a fine line.
Like, you're going to drink if you want to. In fact, smoking is legal in most of the many states now too. So I used to just use like the values of the legal system. Like, if you want to get off probation, you probably want to stop doing the stuff and pee clean and do this. But so yeah, they can have you clarify your values or their own values and then have goals, and you make informed choices, assuming responsibility for what they do. Ethical issues in group work. So like, considerable harm is possible when diversity exists within a group and the leader fails to use multicultural approach to assessment, diagnosis, and treatment. Some of the group norms are generally associated with group participation. They might not be congruent with the cultural norms of some clients. And we found that out in our refugees. And a lot of the work they often give is to God. Like, therapy was even frowned upon. Is they're like, God's in charge, God will take care of it. They wouldn't see a counselor or a social worker. So we had to let them see that the pastoral counselor was still going to believe the same way they did about God's going to do the change, but God's working through the person to talk with you about the vehicle of change or whatever it is.
I was laughing at that. I was like, even your word says literally that God works through this world.
Right.
So he's literally describing how do you know God didn't send us right here, right now to give you these words?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how to determine that. Seems to me pretty logical.
And so most places you'll work at, they'll train you. It says it's the practitioner's responsibility to have a general understanding of the cultural values of his clients. Usually the agency you work at knows the culture and they'll train you for that culture. They should. Not always will they, but they really should if they're not. And that's just something to think about. I even got training for doing multidimensional family therapy with teens in Claremont County in 2006. And we learned about Appalachia and we learned about Insane Clown Posse back then because I didn't know anything about it. And they're like, some of these kids listen to ICP and you got to know about what they're into and what they're digging. And like,
Their culture's unique too. It's not what you would think.
Right.
Like, they're actually some of the most loved. Like it's about it's about actual community, not about like this fanatic like obsession with the band. They're so tight knit because of the culture that it produces, not even because of the people that they're quote unquote worshiping, right?
right.
It's literally
Right.
like, no, we got into it because they're like family oriented. They like really love each other. They're
Yeah.
like the most kindest people you'll meet.
Yeah.
It's wild to think about.
Or even like traveling with the Grateful Dead or going on tour with Fish and like seeing there's obviously bad people and folks that do a lot of drugs and have to steal to keep up the heaven. Lots of loving and caring and a fellowship of people that are sober there too. So, I am going to stop there for today just because I feel like we've already crushed a lot of this. There is an association of group work, so just so you guys know, and they have like their own guidelines and everything. Like if you wanted to look them up,
Yeah. They're like the ones that are like oversee the idea of group.
it is. Yeah, it's
That's
the
pretty
ASGW, and I know it at least existed in '98. I think there's another quote from them in the 2000s, but
So I want to look into them too, not just but after I get my thing, but if I really, they would probably be able to connect me with resources that would really help me thrive in that.
yeah,
Group
they
setting.
might have free. They might have free resources online. I haven't looked at them recently, but just different things that you could use. And
I just wonder if it's like the American, the Psychiatric Association too, and all that. How like one of their benefits of being a part of it is, besides their conferences and stuff, and just kind of being up to date on the newest information, they also offer. What do you call it? Networking. They offer some form of networking where you can connect with other people, even if it's just like, not necessarily LinkedIn, but it reminds me of something like that where when you're on there, you can search up their database for like certain people and groups that they're having or like events that they're hosting kind of thing.
okay, so it is a division of the American Counseling Association, but they do
American
specific.
counseling.
Yep.
I see.
But it is the Association for Specialists in Group Work.
That's pretty cool. I want to definitely look into them because I'm assuming they'll even be able to help if I want to make my own business centered around like life coaching / counseling, all around like the stuff that I'm most interested in.
Yeah, you can do a call for proposals if you did the conference next year. You can talk about what you're doing in your groups and present there. So that's like kind of how people present their research. Looks like it was due. Gosh, I don't know if the conference is in the winter, but if it's due a year ahead of time, that's impressive. Usually they're due 6 months before the conference so they can get like what the conference was. Oh yeah, February 5th. So a new frontier in group work, practice, and research. Oh, you still can submit a proposal, but due on September 7th. Okay, never mind. It was
So
due
we'll
4
try to
days
do-
ago.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of when you start presenting your research, you can say what you've done in your group, what was helpful, your experiences in group, and that's how you do it.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm going to try to make my. If I were to, and it's okay, it's a big question, so you can just even give me a vague answer. But so if I wanted to do 3 projects that ended up as some kind of thesis, the thesis is not just a statement, right? It's researched. So there's some form. So I would want to make one of the projects an actual research project.
Okay.
I'd want to make one of them a presentation,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be after the research project, right?
You could do that. Yeah. I just saw this. We have an Ohio Association of Group Works too. So you could even present there.
I see. So I'm wondering like how I'm trying to figure out how to turn it into, we've had to do 4 assignments, but like if it was an honors project, could one of them be a proposal in an essay format that was, a certain length that gave evidence to why it's valid to then basically it's almost like a justification and a layout of what I'm going to be doing then with the research. And then the final one be the actual results and like an effective group or something like that. Or something like I could do like a essay at whatever length of like, obviously I want it to be a dense one, not like, 5 pages. I want it for an honors project. I'm assuming it'd be, if I did a 10-page essay, is that too little?
No.
No. Okay. So if I did
No.
a 10-page essay that said, this is what I want to do. This is why it's important. This is the evidence to why it's important. This is my unique theory involved. This is the thing I'm going to do to get the evidence. And I presented that as one project. And then the second one was the actual research and digestion of it. And then the third one, I could probably bring it together in like an active way, like where I could be like, I'm going to create literal, whether it's one or two, like almost like a guide that says these are some groups you can do that then piggyback off that.
I love that. And even if we somehow got you connected with Dr. Hunt's